switchboard operator and just Catholic lady living a Catholic life. But I wasn't always Catholic, and I got asked actually really recently why I became Catholic, and then the follow-up question was why I stayed Catholic and what made it all worth it. And I really come back to the same moment. Being raised Protestant, there's obviously differences in how we talk about the Eucharist and how we think about church and communion and all these different things. And so I had started attending masses and was just super fascinated. I think as Catholics, like I said, as a Catholic, like we get super used to the Mass, we get super used to the liturgy, we get super used to the rhythm of it. But walking into it, having never really been to one, it was so overwhelming and so beautiful. And I was super fascinated, but I didn't really know what was going on because I was just showing up to these masses and just like going and being like, this is cool. But I didn't know like why, something was different about this Mass. So I've been to a lot of different churches. I've been to Methodist and Lutheran and Evangelical and Baptist and Pentecostal. But coming to a Catholic Mass was so different, and I couldn't figure out why, and it was killing me. So I ended up coming to a youth night at Little Flower, and we were they'd been doing a series apparently on different aspects of the Catholic faith. And so I walked into the discussion on the true nature of Jesus and the Eucharist. And we just sat down basically with John 6 and broke it down moment by moment, verse by verse, what Jesus was actually saying. And there's those moments where like your head and your heart and your spirit are all orienting towards the same moment and the same truth. And it just was like lightning. And I just knew that this was true in a way that I'd never known anything else before, that Jesus, God, creator of the universe, the same God in Genesis and the burning bush and parting seas and like leading Israelites through the desert and speaking through the prophets, was becoming enfleshed in every single Mass and was waiting in every single tabernacle. And I was just so overwhelmed. It's like you learn that and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what's been happening at every Mass. This makes so much sense, and this is like, things are clicking. And then our youth director was like, hey, let's all have adoration now. So not only did I just learn that like Jesus was present, but then have like walking into his presence. And I was terrified. I was so terrified because I was definitely like, I was by no means pursuing a life of virtue. I was by no means necessarily even like super invested in my faith, or I didn't really know why I was showing up in the first place, to be honest. And I knew walking in that I was going to encounter God and that he was going to see me and know me. And he did. And it's hard to articulate like what, if you know, you know. If you've been before him like that, you know it. I don't have to say anything. You know what it's like to sit face to face, eye to eye, cheek to cheek, and know each other and to see each other for who you are. And I think because I was known in a way that I had never experienced before, I was also loved in a way that I had never experienced before. And that's why I became Catholic. That's why the church is beautiful, yes, and she has truth, and, and it's so good, it's so good. But I became Catholic because I encountered Jesus' love for me, and because I stay Catholic for the same reason. Because every time I walk into a church or Mass or pause in my day or think about him, I know that I'm responding to his love, and I know that I'm being made new in those moments. And every time it's different, and I think he's And you know what's exciting too is like he gets better every time. I can say now, like having time to like stand back, like thinking about this and like being asked for my testimony was like, oh man. But thinking about, because that was just one moment, that was just a beginning, but he has increasingly gotten so much better. He's so much more good than I thought he was when I first received him, when I first met him. He's so much more merciful. He's so much more beautiful than I could have ever even imagined or dreamed of. And that's so exciting that like the further we go and the deeper we go and the more we let ourselves be loved by him, the more we receive of him. And it's exciting. And that's not to say it's like a cakewalk. Like being Catholic is for sure the hardest thing I've ever done. And it's not for the faint of heart. And if you're like on the fence and you're like, I don't know, I kind of want something easy or something a little entertaining, like I don't recommend it. But if you want to be known and if you want to be loved, and if you want to be seen fully for who you are, if you want to experience merciful love, there's only one place that will happen, and that's at the feet of Jesus, and that's at his cross. And it's not scary. I mean, it's a little terrifying, but it's worth it. It's hard because I can tell you from the other side that it's so worth it, and it's so awesome, but I can imagine, because I know how it feels, being on before you take the leap, you're like, what if it doesn't happen for me, or what if Jesus doesn't meet me? What if he meets other people but he doesn't meet me? And what if he doesn't want my heart and doesn't want all of me? What if he sees me too fully and then he rejects me? And like that's so terrifying. But I will tell you that's not what's going to happen, and that he is so desperate to love you, and he's so desperate to be loved by you, and he's so desperate for the gift of your heart and how good you are. And that's what he wants to tell you if you give him an opportunity, if you sit. And maybe it won't happen the first time. Maybe you'll have to keep showing up. But every time you show up, he is meeting you, and he is encountering you, and he is delighting in you. And it always strikes me whenever I'm in adoration, like, just as I'm adoring Christ, he's adoring me back. And that sounds kind of scandalous to be like, God is adoring me, Ophelia, who's just, just a random lady. But it's the truth. The truth is that, like, I am so profoundly seen and loved. And that's why it's worth it. That's why pursuing virtue and the humiliations of being Catholic and the conflict and the really getting to the nitty-gritty of life and loving others and failing at it a lot and going to confession. That's why it's all worth it, is because when I'm there and I see him and he sees me, it's what I was made for. Once you've had a little bit, you want more. And praise God, he wants to give us more. So my hope, if there's someone watching who is not sure what Jesus thinks of them, maybe you're not sure what you think of Jesus either, is give him a chance to love you, really an honest chance. He can take your anger, he can take your disappointment, he can take you saying you're not good enough, you're not satisfying enough. Like, ask him to prove it to you. Ask him to prove his love for you, and I promise you he will. And it's pretty exceptional. So